Hi, welcome to another episode of Astronomy for Noobs. I'm Alvin. In this video, I'm going to show you how to observe the night sky without a telescope. When doing events for my astronomy club, one of the most frequent questions I get from people who are new to astronomy is, "Whoa, man, this is really cool, but how do I learn all this without a telescope?" Now I get that telescopes can be pretty expensive. They can go from bicycle money to, why get a car when I can get this money? If you don't have a telescope, believe it or not, the easiest thing to do to observe and learn the night sky is to simply look up, just like our ancestors did. Now this activity is even better if you live or travel to a dark sky site away from city lights. I recommend at least an hour to 2 hours away from a metropolitan area. When you go to a dark sky site, this is generally the view you're gonna get. It is very similar to the same view our ancestors saw when they looked up in the night sky before the invention of the light bulb. Our ancestors were so at awe at the majestic beauty of the night sky that it inspired many stories that are important to different cultures today. In fact, ancient Greek and Middle Eastern cultures began to draw out peculiar star patterns in the sky that eventually became the constellations we know today. If you're fortunate enough to be under this type of sky, I recommend getting a lounge chair, a picnic blanket, some bug spray, and turning off all the lights and enjoying what nature has to offer. Now, I also recommend learning a few constellations on the way. In fact, there are 2 constellations that I think everyone should know because 1, they're easy to spot in the sky, and 2, they're very important to navigation. Now let me go back to my suburban sky to prove to you that you can still find these constellations even with some light pollution. The first one is this giant saucepan in the sky, which is the Big Dipper. The Big Dipper is technically not a constellation. It's actually a star pattern that's part of a constellation called Ursa Major, or the Great Bear. Now you're ready for this? What's cool about the Big Dipper is that if you draw a line in the front of the saucepan between these 2 stars, and then you keep on drawing that line all the way to the next bright star you see above the saucepan, you'll reach this star here. So this star is actually the star Polaris, which is our North Star. The North Star is actually part of a constellation that's eerily similar to the Big Dipper, just smaller, like a tiny saucepan in the sky. And that constellation is called Ursa Minor, or the Little Bear. Now why is Polaris, the North Star, so important? Well, Polaris is an important star to navigation ever since ancient times. Polaris is the North Star because it's located right above Earth's North Pole. Now let's say you're having a very bad day. Your phone is not working, you no longer have GPS, you lost your compass. How do you generally find which direction to walk to get help? Well, you can do this by spotting the North Star. So if you walk towards the North Star, you'll generally be walking north. If you turn 90 degrees to the left, you'll be walking west. If you turn 90 degrees to the right from the North Star, you'll be walking east. Now, if you turn 180 degrees and walk toward the direction behind you, away from the North Star, you'll be walking south. Alright, now that you're enjoying the night sky with your naked eyes, let's say this happens. Hey, what's that? It looks like a firefly that got stuck in that bluish black thing. Isn't that from the Lion King? And why are you wearing sunglasses at night? I need a costume department. If you're observing with the naked eye and you really want to identify all the objects you're seeing in the night sky, I recommend downloading a Planetarium app for your phone. There are many Planetarium apps in the market and they're available for both Android and iOS. These apps can be free or they're available for purchase. So I'm going to give you an example of a free app and one that you can purchase. Now keep in mind, this is not going to be a full review of these apps. I'm just going to go over quickly of some of their features. One example of a free app is called Skyview Lite. Skyview Lite is available for both Android and iOS. It uses a feature called augmented reality. Now that means that the app uses your phone's camera to superimpose graphics of objects you see in the night sky. Now, being a free app, it has a limited number of objects in its database, but this should be good enough for many of you who are starting out in astronomy. And finally, there is a paid version of the app called Skyview Explore the Universe. Now, this version of the app has more objects in its database and also has a few additional features like a night mode. It's $1.99 US. Okay, so this is Skyview. With any Planetarium app, you should set your location as well as your date and time. In this case, the date is set to July 4th, 2020 at 10 p.m. So with Skyview, it has an augmented reality feature, which means it's using my camera phone image as a background. In this case, I'm pointing at a dark sky, and it superimposes these graphics on that image. So as you move around the sky with your phone, as you can see, the app will start labeling the locations of different star patterns and other objects in the night sky. In the southeast, there'll be roughly a full moon, and as you can see there, and Jupiter and Saturn will be up, but pretty right above the red horizon. So that red line is the horizon, so you won't be able to see any objects below that. Now, if you start tapping an object, like in this case Jupiter, it'll start bringing up these quick facts in the bottom. If you click on the Jupiter label in the bottom left, the blue label, it'll bring up this additional information about the object. So in this case, Jupiter, you'll see it has 79 moons, and then a couple paragraphs providing even more detail. So as we drift towards the north, let's just say you want to find an object using this app. So in this case, you'll have to go through its search feature. Because it's a free app, it has a limited number of objects again. So let's go ahead and search for Saturn. And the app will actually guide you to the object. So you move your phone in the direction of the arrow. And as you can see, you'll end up landing on the object you're looking for. It's a pretty cool app. All right, so let's transition into an app that you have to pay for. In this example, we'll use Sky Safari. Now, Sky Safari comes in 3 different levels at 3 different price points. The app is available for Android and iOS. The entry-level version of this app is called Sky Safari 6 AR. Now, please keep in mind that Sky Safari 6 is the latest version of this app at the time of this filming. The entry-level version of this app is $2.99 US, and it has more than enough objects to satisfy beginners in astronomy. Now, like I said, there are 2 other levels of this app. The middle level is called Sky Safari Plus, and that's the app I personally have, and the app that I will demonstrate for you later in this video. So what's the difference? Sky Safari Plus has more objects and more features than the entry-level version of Sky Safari. To give you an example, Sky Safari AR, the entry-level version, has 120,000 stars in its database. Sky Safari Plus has 2.5 million stars. So in addition to more objects, the middle version app has more features like the ability to make observation lists. It has a night mode. It has more information about objects. It has a mode where you can do a 3D tour of objects in the sky. And it also has an audio tour feature for objects. And now the last version, the most expensive version of Sky Safari is Sky Safari Pro. And since this is a channel for beginners, don't worry about it. So to sum things up, the more money you put into this app, the more objects you'll have in the database, the more information you'll have, and the more options you'll have to customize the display. Okay, so this is Sky Safari 6 Plus. Again, this is the mid-tier version of Sky Safari, and it's the version that I personally have. I'm going to go ahead and do the exact same demonstration as I did with Skyview Lite, so you can see the differences between a free app like Skyview and a paid app like Sky Safari. So make sure my settings are the same. Date set to July 4th, 2020 at 10 p.m. Now, as you can see, the display is obviously different from Skyview. Skyview again uses an augmented reality feature where it uses your phone's camera, an image it's seeing as the background. Here in Sky Safari, it's just a simple graphic that the app provides as the background. Eventually, the moon, Jupiter, and Saturn will come up, and we're going to go ahead and take a look into more details of Jupiter. So there's the moon, and there's Jupiter and Saturn. You see how they're interpreted differently graphically. So let's go ahead and take a look at Jupiter. We're gonna select it and then look at object info. Now, as you'll see, Sky Safari has a lot more information about an object than Skyview. In the Plus version of Sky Safari, if you look in the upper left-hand corner, there's an audio tour. And again, that feature is only available for Sky Safari Plus and not the entry-level version. Now we're gonna go ahead and do the 3D tour of Jupiter. This feature is only available on Sky Safari Plus and not the entry-level version, so keep that in mind. So this is basically looking at a 3D picture of Jupiter on July 4th, 10 p.m. So it's pretty cool, nifty graphic, and you can check out objects in 3D at a specific date and time. So we're gonna go ahead and head back to Earth. I feel like a meteor about to slam into the planet. Oof, that must have hurt. So just like the Skyview demonstration, we're gonna pretend to try to find an object using this app. So we're gonna go ahead and try to find Saturn again. So we can go ahead and type it up, Saturn, and before you know it, there's Saturn. We go ahead and click on that and click on the bottom left hand corner to locate. And magic, the app tells us where to go to find the planet. And just to demonstrate, Sky Safari also has a night vision mode. It makes your phone red so that the red light will help you retain your night vision under a dark sky. So that's Sky Safari. So you learn the sky with your naked eyes. You learn the sky with the apps. Now you just feel the need to zoom in. But you're not sure if you want to commit hundreds of dollars towards a telescope yet. Enter binoculars. Binoculars are great because generally entry-level binoculars are more affordable than entry-level telescopes. You also get a wide, zoomed-in view of the sky. With a pair of binoculars, you can spot the craters on the moons of Jupiter, Saturn's rings, and even get a slightly closer look at star clusters, nebula, and even the Andromeda galaxy. So what kind of binoculars should you get for astronomy? I recommend getting a pair of 10 by 50 binoculars. What I like about 10 by 50 pair of binoculars is that they're pretty light, that adults and kids can use them. And you can use them to scan the night sky without too much handshake. But wait a minute, what does 10 by 50 mean exactly? Well, in binocular speak, the first number, in this case 10, describes the magnification of the pair of binoculars. So that means this pair of binoculars can magnify an image 10 times more than your naked eyes. Now the second number, in this case 50, describes the diameter of the objective lens of the pair of binoculars. So that means in this case, this lens is 50 millimeters wide. The wider the lens, the more light can come through, and the more details you can get, especially in a dark environment. So you're saying I should get the biggest pair of binoculars I can afford. Whoa! So this is a pair of 15 by 70 binoculars. Now the problem with large binoculars is that they're pretty heavy. They can be pretty heavy for adults, and are definitely unusable by a child. Also, keeping a picture steady with large binoculars like this is very difficult because of the high magnification and the weight. Now, with that said, if you have the money and you do want the greater magnification and light gathering ability large binoculars have to offer, I highly recommend attaching them to a tripod. This will help you obtain greater image stability. Luckily, most binoculars, especially those dedicated to astronomy, come with tripod adapters. That means you can attach your large binoculars to a regular budget-friendly camera tripod like the one on the left. But if you want to be the coolest kid in the block, you can get a tripod with a parallelogram mount like the one on the right. The advantage of this mount is that it can easily accommodate different heights, from a little kid to an overgrown adult, simply by swinging the mount up or down. However, this whole setup will cost you a pretty penny, going for about $250 or more depending on the brand. I'll go ahead and put links to these mounts and other products that I mentioned in this video in the description below. In the opposite end of the spectrum, getting a smaller pair of binoculars, like this 4x30 pair, is just too small for night sky observing. This pair offers little in magnification, and the lenses are too narrow for enough light to enter to view objects in the night sky. And that's why a pair of 10x50 binoculars is a good compromise. They're light enough to be used by adults and kids, and they're very easy to keep steady in your hand, especially if you're in a reclined position, like if you're sitting in a lounge chair or if you're on your back on top of a picnic blanket. And there you have it, 3 ways to observe and learn the night sky without a telescope. If there are other tools you use to enjoy the night sky without a telescope, please comment below. Remember to like and subscribe, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next video.